Hey guys, Jacob here. This is going to be another Division 2 build video. This is going to be on the raid build and kind of on the topic of what I think you guys should be using for the raid. A bunch of my friends have asked me what's the best build to use for the raid, and it's actually really not that complicated to explain. First of all, this is the build I'm using. This is probably the, I guess I call this the basically my trash PvE build, or the basically control point or stash box build, if you guys want to call it. I threw as much damage to elites as I could as possible and get some pieces that still helped me out a little bit in the raid, and still did a decent amount of damage to the NPCs. But I'll get right into it. First of all, the weapon I'm using is the AK, and I'm also using the Nemesis. There are a few other weapons you can use, but the AK I'm using is the military AKM, and the attachments on this weapon, you guys are going to have the C79 scope, or even better, the EXP hollow sight, but people have this one more because you get this one from blueprint drops and control points, stuff like that. And that's how you get that one. I think you can also get these from completing weekly assignments at the vendor or something, and you guys can get it this way. But I suggest using this one if you have it, due to the fact it does a little bit more than this. And then next, you guys are going to have the muzzle brake 7.62 or the 5.56, whatever which weapon you're using, and you get that 5% extra damage to elites. I'm using the angled grip, and I'm using the light extended mag, so I could use more bullets on my gun and be able to hit the target a little bit easier, and use the grip for a little bit of stability on this weapon due to the fact that it's an AK and it kind of jumps a little bit. Next is Ranger. This is probably not one of the talents I'd really go for. But due to the fact in this build, I can't really unlock anything else except something like maybe Measured or Strained. So if you guys have those, you could use those as well, but I'm using Ranger. Every 5 meters you are from a target grants 2% weapon damage, and Allegro, which is 10% rate of fire, and Zen, while equipped, resting in cover for 3 seconds removes blind and disorienting status effects, and that's that AR. And next is the Nemesis. This is the exotic sniper rifle that you guys could get a while back if you guys decide to get all the pieces and collect it. Some people haven't, but the main thing on this is the preparation, and that's while holstered, gain 25% headshot damage when scoped in with your current weapon, and that's pretty awesome. So if you have a scope, you could zoom in and just get that extra 25% headshot damage. And in general, you could see the scope has headshot damage, reload speed, damage to elite, which is really nice, and crit hit damage. There's not really any other weapons that I really use during the raid, but there is one I will get into, and that's all the way down here, and that is going to be the M249, due to the fact that it has really high damage and has a lot of rounds you could shoot through. So, for example, Boomer, when he's on the ground, you can literally just light his ass up while he's on the ground and just aim for his head and have his damage to elite builds and have a shit ton of damage and just try to burn through his armor as fast as possible. I've seen people try to use the Vector, but I guess if you have that, it's the only thing you have, go ahead and use it, I guess. But I'd recommend using an LMG, an assault rifle, or maybe the Nemesis if you really have it, so you can get that headshot damage. But the LMG and assault rifle, I think, is going to be your best bet to be able to kill some of the bosses and NPCs in general. That's just from my experience. Boomer is pretty damn difficult at the moment, and you can kill him if you guys get the right team and be able to lure him around and have people focused on the terminals and be able to hit those, and while you're fighting the boss and hitting his health and being able to get him on the ground with the miniguns and not letting him destroy him. But next is the Badger Tough Mask, which has 32% damage to elite, hazard protection, and health on kill, and you're getting the additional 7% damage to elite, so that's really nice. So you're getting the damage to elites from the mask, and also you're getting the minor stat roll. You can get this way higher. I've seen people with way higher, so if you have like a 42 or 40% mask, I suggest you use that one. And even if it's on Badger, you should use it as well, so you can get, like, say you have 40, you can get that 7% additional from damage to elites on here, so you'd have like 47, which is really nice. Next is the chest piece. This is the Berserk chest piece. Originally was the Berserk chest piece, but I did flip this around. This is now a damage to elites and hazard protection chest piece, which has assault rifle damage. So if you have Berserk on a Fenris, you can use it if you'd like to, but I'm not. I'm using this one due to the fact that it has damage to elites, and if you have one that has damage to elites on it, I recommend using it. So I guess you can have Berserk as a secondary, and this is rolled for skill power, crit chance, and health, and you can also roll a utility mod on there as well. Next is the Wyvern Holster with 14% crit damage and 10% damage to elites and 7% crit damage. This is pretty awesome, but like I said, if you want a little bit more armor, and if you want to, do the most amount of damage, you're going to have as much damage to leech as possible. So I suggest running with whatever you have to get to high max damage and just be able to rip through these guys. Next is the Gila backpack, rolled for health, crit hit chance, and crit hit damage. Also has hard hitting and efficient, and has total armor. I might actually get rid of one of the firearm stats and try to get a little bit more damage on there, rolling it off one of my old backpacks or something like that, so I can do the raid a little bit easier. But like I said, this is essentially a stash box build. Some of these pieces I already had, but some of the old ones I accidentally threw away. You also have 2 mods on here: a defense mod with armor, disrupt resistance, and burn resistance, and weapon damage, LMG damage, and SMG damage. And that's really nice to the fact that you're going to be using LMGs and have weapon damage in general. Also, if you have an SMG, say you run out in your LMG and you can't have a stash box, or a box like a restock near you, you can switch to an SMG and use that and have a little bit of damage. Next are the gloves, which are the protection from elites, which are really nice. These are 511, so you get 5% protection from elites. You have 1% crit chance and 6% LMG damage, and it has 10% damage to elites. I'll end up probably flipping the crit hit chance for something like assault rifle damage, just like that. That way you can have both. The next is the knee pads, which is the Murakami Industries, which gives you 8% health, 9,000 armor, and 10% damage to elites. And you can get that up higher if you want to roll it and have some, way higher armor. You can. It has a defense protocol slot mod with 9,192% health. So it's 9,000, which is pretty high. I have not gotten a health mod that is higher than 9,000. If you have, that's pretty cool, but I have not seen one like this in a while. This is like an older mod, so maybe that's because of the reason. But that's going to be about it, guys, for the build. The skills I'm using, though, are the Seeker Mine, which is the Mender, which heals you, and I'm also using the Kim Launcher that heals you. But one other thing that's been really helpful lately is going to have to be the Flame Turret, and you could throw this near, like, say, the donut shop when you're fighting Boomer, and this will burn some of the NPCs and get them off your back while you're trying to fight him. So if you have a few guys who have these, I recommend throwing them in areas where they can hit NPCs and get some of that damage off you while they're getting the shit burned out of them. And you could also use something like the Hive. The Reviver Hive is very nice, so if you get downed, this will pick you up when it drops on the ground, and that way your teammates don't have to run over and res you. And then next are the stats. You can see all the damage to elites right here, how these on the pieces, and you see the weapon talents through the weapons. And then you can see the weapon damage, which is 20,623, 11% crit chance, 52% crit damage, headshot damage is 55%, and you can see the stability, all weapon damage bonus. And when you guys get down to the bottom, you'll see it's 102% damage to elites, which is really nice. You can get this up higher, obviously, if you have a little bit more higher stats, so that's currently what I have mine at the moment. 207,000 armor, and you have no armor and killer armor generation, 82,000 max health, and you have 41,000 health generation. Then you have the hazard protection, and your skills are pretty much garbage due to the fact this is not a skill build. But this is the build I've been using to help me get through the raid. You guys can just use something else if you'd like, but personally I think you guys should have something like this to, say, get the max damage, or if you use an AR, use an AR with high damage, or if you can get a P416, then use that because that shoots out bullets really fast. Or if you want to use LMGs, get a high damage LMG. That way you have more ammunition and you can focus on Boomer or any of the other bosses you're going to be fighting in general. But this is just what I've been using. I don't know if this video is the goal of this was just to show you guys that I suggest using something like this due to the fact this raid is kind of a pain in the ass. A few of my guys last night, we only got to the second boss, and that took us probably 6 hours, I think 7 hours to finally kill Boomer, which took forever. And at that point, nobody was really wanting to move on until the next day, which we have not done yet. But this is a quick video and showing you guys what I've been using to kill the NPCs and get through the raid in general. So just having your team have something similar to this and get as much damage to leech as you can to be able to rip through these guys and be able to focus Boomer and some of the other bosses and kill them a little bit easier. But thank you guys all for watching. I know this video wasn't much, but as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one.
So, Devil's Cry, huh? Let's hear what that sounds like! Don't you dare say it! Jackpot!